Hey folks, I hope you're well. I hope you enjoyed the solo. This was taken from another track I've been recording guitars on for my friend Matthew Alexa in Canada. This is now the 8th track we've done together. I'm really looking forward to you being able to hear this music in the future because I think you're going to dig it. Now, today I want to do another concept-centric lesson aimed at helping you dramatically and quite quickly expand your vocabulary on guitar. But before we get into this, a quick disclaimer: I would highly recommend that if you haven't already, you watch my video on modes before watching this lesson. It will make a lot more sense if you do, because we're going to be touching upon some similar ideas, but without me going into the depth that I did in that video. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please go watch that first and then come back and rejoin us. Okay, the lick I'm going to be using for the purpose of this video is taken from that solo at the beginning, but just moved into E mixed Lydian. If you'd like to learn that lick, I have a lesson for it, as well as many others on my Patreon, to which there is a link in the description below. Now, I mentioned this idea is in E mixed Lydian, and for those of you who have watched my modes video, you will know that this means we are in the umbrella key of A major. We are focusing around the 5 chord. E is our tonal center within the overall key of A. Now, one of the things that I left you with from my video on modes was the idea that each major mode is built upon the framework of the major pentatonic scale. In other words, Ionian, Lydian, and mixed Lydian all contain the intervals 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. The 2 that are left over are what differentiate the modes from each other. Likewise, with the minor modes, Dorian, Phrygian, and Aeolian, they're all built upon the framework of the minor pentatonic scale, the 2 intervals left over being, in this case, 2 and 6, and those 2 intervals being the only things that differentiate the modes from each other. Now, this idea of pentatonic scales being the framework for modes was something I gave to you as a means of organizing this information, but it has another useful byproduct. But before we explore that, let's just remind ourselves, if we are in E mixed Lydian, meaning we're in the umbrella major key of A major, what are the chords in the key of A? Well, we have A, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp minor, G sharp diminished, and then we're back at A. If you're uncertain how we got there, just remember that we create the major scale using the formula root, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, and then we simply overlay the chord qualities major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Now, if you remember, the fact that we have 3 modes built from a major pentatonic scale within the key, it basically means that we have 3 major pentatonic scales available to us. So, if we have a lick which is written in 1 pentatonic scale, in this case E major, it means we can also relocate that to the 4 chord, and the 1 chord. So because we have a major chord built on the 1st, 4th, and 5th degrees of the key, and therefore also a major pentatonic scale built from the 1st, 4th, and 5th degrees of the key, it means any idea which is built from either kind of triadic vocabulary or 7th chords or pentatonic scales, major or minor, can be relocated to the other places in the key that share that quality. So what's going on here? Well, this is one of the merits of a shape-based instrument. Although this looks like the same structure, just being moved to different places on the neck, the way it's functioning is very different. So in its original position, the intervals that we're highlighting are the perfect 5th, the major 3rd, the root, the 6th, and that's it. very consonant sounding intervals, meaning they sound very stable and kind of quite pleasing. Now, if we move down to D, which remember is our 4 chord and our umbrella key of A major, although the shape is the same, the intervals have a different relationship to the harmony that you're playing over. We're playing an E mixed Lydian, remember? So compared to the root note of E, this shape now gives us the intervals of a 4th, a 2nd, a flat 7, a 5th. So we're focusing on a different group of intervals within the key, which gives us quite a different feel. So if we move to the 1 chord now, we've done the 5 chord, we've done the 4 chord, we're going to move to the 1. It gives us a different concentration of intervals again, relative to our tonal centre of E. We now have 1, 6, 4, 2, and then 1 again. Now this is obviously a very simple example because it's very kind of triad centric, but it will work with anything which is either triad, 7th, or pentatonic based. So if I took like another kind of scale run type idea, let's say, okay, again, E major pentatonic. We're in E mixed Lydian, the key of A major overall. Again, go back to the modes video if this isn't making complete sense. And we can relocate that from the 5 chord to the 4 chord and the 1 chord. In essence, taking 1 lick and then tripling the value that we get from it. Now, bearing in mind, this might confuse your ear a little bit because the byproduct of superimposing these different pentatonic scales, which are available within the key, over a static idea, in this case we're playing E major, E mixed Lydian, is that you are going to be concentrating on slightly more unusual groups of intervals, things that you might not normally be leaning on quite so much if you are used to playing, you know, standard kind of rock, blues, country vocabulary. So it might sound a bit weird at first, but you will be exploring some new sounds, and that can only be a good thing. Okay guys, I hope you get something fun out of this. Obviously it takes a little bit of awareness in terms of you need to know what mode you are playing in at the time, and therefore what umbrella key you are in order to work out what your options are, what you have available to you in terms of where do the other major or minor pentatonic scales exist within the key. But once you do, you can start to really broaden your vocabulary, and every idea you get 3 times as much mileage out of it. Again, if you're enjoying these videos, please consider supporting me via my Patreon using the link in the description below. It helps me to make these videos with some regularity, as I tend to do them whenever I have time off from work. It's what I do on my weekends more often than not, and you'll also get a few extras as a thank you. That's it for me this week. Have a great one guys, and I will see you real soon. Bye bye.